Have you ever found yourself giving too much in a relationship, offering time, energy, and care, only to feel unappreciated, disrespected, or emotionally exhausted? Maybe you've stayed silent during moments when you desperately wanted to speak up, just to avoid conflict, or keep someone in your life. Or perhaps you've noticed that certain people continuously cross your boundaries, leaving you feeling used, invisible, or confused. If any of this sounds familiar, then what you're actually experiencing is not just a relationship issue, it's a self-respect issue. Because the uncomfortable truth is this: relationships, whether they are romantic, friendly, familial, or professional, don't truly begin with love, communication, or trust. They begin with self-respect. Without it, everything else eventually collapses. This video is not just a motivational speech, it's a deep, honest exploration into how self-respect forms the foundation of all healthy relationships. It's about why you might feel stuck in cycles of toxicity or unbalanced emotional investments, and how you can break free by understanding and rebuilding your self-respect from the ground up. So what exactly is self-respect? Contrary to popular belief, it's not arrogance. It's not pride. It's not selfishness or ego. Self-respect is the quiet, internal knowing that you are worthy of love, dignity, safety, and consideration. It's the decision to treat yourself like someone who matters. It's recognizing that your feelings, your time, and your well-being are not optional. They are essential. Self-respect means that you don't tolerate being treated in ways that undermine your worth. It means you don't beg for attention, approval, or affection, because you already recognize your own value. People often confuse self-respect with aggression or dominance, but it's not about controlling others. It's about not allowing others to control you. It's about not shrinking yourself just to make someone else feel comfortable. And the most important thing, self-respect is not something you feel once and carry forever. It's something you choose again and again, through your words, your actions, and your boundaries. Now let's talk about how self-respect affects your relationships. When you carry self-respect into your interactions, you automatically create a space where healthy dynamics can grow. You're less likely to people please, to chase validation, or to tolerate toxic behavior. You no longer accept crumbs of affection when you know you deserve the full meal. You communicate your needs with clarity and calmness. You're not afraid to walk away from relationships that consistently hurt you, because you know staying would mean abandoning yourself, and you've decided to never do that again. On the flip side, when you lack self-respect, your relationships often become imbalanced. You may end up attracting people who take advantage of your kindness, who manipulate your empathy, or who only show up when they need something. Without self-respect, your boundaries are either weak or non-existent. You might say yes when you want to say no, or keep giving chances to someone who has already shown you who they are. You become stuck in relationships where your needs are overlooked, and your self-worth slowly erodes with each compromise. The problem isn't always the other person, it's your silence, your tolerance, your fear of being alone. That's where self-respect changes everything. Self-respect is also what separates confidence from insecurity. When you respect yourself, you don't need constant reassurance. You don't panic when someone pulls away or disapproves of you. You don't become desperate for love, because you're not starving for it. You're already full inside. That internal stability makes your relationships more secure and less chaotic. You stop over-giving, over-apologizing, over-explaining. You begin to attract healthier people, because your energy no longer vibrates on desperation. It radiates clarity and self-trust. And when you lose people because of your boundaries, you don't break down. You grow stronger. Because self-respect is not about keeping everyone, it's about keeping yourself. Let's also clear up a common misconception. Self-respect is not the same as ego. Ego says, I'm better than you, but self-respect says, I'm equal to you, and I will not be treated as less. Ego reacts out of fear, fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of not being seen as superior. But self-respect acts from awareness, an awareness of your worth, your rights, and your emotional needs. When you operate from ego, you might build walls, but when you operate from self-respect, you build boundaries. And the difference between the two is crucial. Walls shut people out. Boundaries teach people how to love you. They protect the connection, not destroy it. Let's look at some real-life scenarios. Imagine someone constantly shows up late, cancels plans last minute, or only reaches out when they need help. If you don't respect yourself, you might let it slide, make excuses for them, or feel too afraid to speak up. But if you have self-respect, you'll address the pattern respectfully, and if it continues, you'll distance yourself, even if it hurts. Why? Because your peace is not negotiable. Or let's say you're in a romantic relationship, where your partner ignores your emotional needs, makes you feel small, or criticizes your goals. Without self-respect, you might stay, hoping things will change. With self-respect, You acknowledge that no amount of love is worth sacrificing your mental health. You don't beg for bare minimum behavior. You move where the respect lives. Building self-respect is a journey. It often begins in silence, when you notice how often you say yes when you mean no, how often you tolerate discomfort just to be accepted, or how you change your personality to fit in. From that awareness comes action. You begin setting small boundaries. You start communicating honestly. You stop over-explaining your worth. You apologize when necessary, but you stop apologizing for existing. You begin to choose yourself, not out of selfishness, but out of self-preservation. And little by little, you start feeling different, lighter, stronger, more alive. If you want to build self-respect, start by observing your daily choices. Do you speak kindly to yourself? Do you honor your needs, or do you constantly put others first? Do you make time for rest, for healing, for joy? Do you say no when something doesn't align with your values? Do you ask for what you need without shame? Self-respect is built through repetition. Every time you choose yourself, your nervous system learns that you are safe in your own hands. You're not abandoning yourself anymore. And with that, your relationships start to transform. Because when you raise your standards, the people who don't meet them will naturally fall away, and the ones who remain will reflect the respect you've built within. Self-respect also requires self-compassion. There will be times when you falter, when you go back to old habits, when you doubt your decisions. That's okay. What matters is that you don't stay there. Self-respect says, I forgive myself, but I also learn. It's a balance between grace and growth. You don't punish yourself for the past. You rise from it. You don't stay in guilt. You move forward with wisdom. In the end, self-respect isn't about being perfect. It's about being authentic. It's about trusting your voice, honoring your limits, and choosing peace over people-pleasing. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. Because when you respect yourself, you change the way the world treats you. You stop settling. You stop chasing. You stop hiding. You show up fully, honestly, and apologetically. And that is the beginning of real, meaningful, lasting relationships. So the next time you feel disrespected, overlooked, or drained in any relationship, pause. Don't ask, why are they doing this to me? Ask instead, why am I allowing this? And then, with courage and clarity, choose to show up for yourself. Because no one can truly love you, support you, or value you until you do. Now let's take this conversation even further. Because self-respect isn't just about how you deal with people today. It's deeply connected to your past, especially your childhood, your first relationships, and your early belief systems. Many of us grow up in environments where self-respect was never modeled. Maybe you were raised in a home where you were taught to stay quiet, to not question authority, to always put others first, or where love was conditional, based on your performance, obedience, or usefulness. As a child, you learn to survive, not thrive. You become hyper-aware of others' moods, trying to please and fix, and adapt, because love feels uncertain. This early programming becomes your blueprint for relationships. You internalize that your needs are less important, your emotions are too much, or that setting boundaries equals rejection. And without realizing it, you carry that blueprint into adulthood, into friendships, romantic partnerships, workplaces, and even how you parent your own children. But here's the liberating truth. You are allowed to rewrite your blueprint. Just because you were not taught self-respect doesn't mean you can't learn it. And one of the first steps is self-awareness, to recognize the patterns that no longer serve you. Ask yourself, where did I learn that my needs are inconvenient? When did I start believing that love must be earned through sacrifice? Why does setting boundaries make me feel guilty? These aren't just philosophical questions. They are keys to your freedom. Healing your self-respect begins with questioning the outdated rules that you followed for years, and then replacing them with truths like, I am not selfish for prioritizing my well-being, or, I deserve love without having to shrink or perform. In practical terms, rebuilding self-respect after years of neglect or emotional damage requires consistent, small, daily actions. Start with micro-boundaries. If someone interrupts you constantly, gently say, let me finish my thought. If a coworker piles extra tasks on you, calmly express your workload limits. These might seem small, but each time you honor your limits, you're sending a powerful message to your nervous system. I matter. Over time, your voice grows stronger, your anxiety lowers, and your presence becomes more grounded. Another way to rebuild self-respect is through rituals of self-care that are non-negotiable. This doesn't mean spa days or luxury getaways, though those are great. It means honoring your need for rest, saying no to unnecessary obligations, spending time with people who uplift you, and creating space for joy, even in busy days. When you treat yourself with kindness, discipline, and consistency, your mind begins to believe, I am worth the effort. Let's also address how self-respect plays out in family dynamics. Many of us struggle the most to uphold boundaries with our family members because of guilt, loyalty, or fear of judgment. Maybe it's a parent who criticizes your life choices, a sibling who manipulates you emotionally, or a relative who constantly crosses your personal space. In these situations, it's easy to stay silent or tolerate behavior that makes you uncomfortable, because we're taught that family is everything. But real family doesn't demand your silence, it respects your truth. Self-respect in family relationships might mean having difficult conversations. It might mean declining certain events or limiting contact for your mental peace. And yes, it might even mean temporary distance. But here's what it never means: self-abandonment. You are not a bad person for protecting your emotional health, even from those who raised you. The same principle applies in professional environments. Self-respect in the workplace means knowing your worth without needing external praise. It means not tolerating discrimination, bullying, or overwork just to prove yourself. It means advocating for fair pay, clear roles, and mutual respect. It's understanding that being professional doesn't mean being passive. You can be kind and assertive. You can be collaborative and have boundaries. And most importantly, you can succeed without losing your integrity. If a job requires you to constantly sacrifice your health, your time, or your dignity, it's not a career, it's a prison. And your self-respect will tell you when it's time to walk away. There's also a spiritual layer to self-respect. When you respect yourself, you are in alignment with something greater than ego. You're aligned with truth. You're no longer chasing validation from the outside world, because your validation comes from within. You stop comparing your journey to others. You stop begging for love. You stop performing. And instead, you rest in the knowing that who you are, at your core, is already enough. This doesn't mean you won't want love, connection, or success. It simply means that your foundation is solid. You don't need people to fill your empty spaces. You invite them to share your fullness. But here's something we rarely talk about. Sometimes the hardest part of self-respect is letting go. Letting go of people who won't change. Letting go of relationships you outgrew. Letting go of needing to be liked by everyone. Letting go of the version of yourself that tolerated things out of fear. Growth is painful. And when you start respecting yourself more, you will inevitably lose people. But what you gain is far greater: inner peace, authenticity, clarity, and emotional freedom. And in that freedom, you begin attracting relationships that reflect your worth, not diminish it. Let's end with a truth you need to remember. You are not here to be small, quiet, or invisible. You are here to live fully, love deeply, speak honestly, and walk with dignity. And that starts not with waiting for others to treat you better, but with treating yourself better. When you rise in self-respect, your energy shifts, your posture changes, your tone softens but strengthens. You no longer overreact, because your power is anchored. You no longer chase, because you know you are worth the wait. You no longer prove, because you already belong. So if you're ready to transform your relationships, don't start with others. Start with yourself. Respect your needs. Protect your peace. Honor your truth. Say yes when it aligns, and no when it doesn't. Choose environments that nurture your growth. And above all, choose you again and again, because you are the foundation. And when the foundation is strong, every relationship you build from it will be stronger too. Thanks for watching. Like the video and subscribe for more content like this.